the Chi-Town experience on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
General Manager Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears can look to trade back from that number 10 overall pick in this year's NFL draft to not only land massive amount of draft capital for this year's draft, but also next year's NFL draft as well. Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. So, Bears fans, we have been talking a whole lot about the NFL draft, which is next month in Green Bay. And we've been doing a lot of mock drafts and a lot of different scenarios on what we think the Chicago Bears will do with the number 10 overall pick in the 2025 NFL draft. And one of the biggest scenarios that most Bears fans kind of want, General Manager Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson, the Bears organization to consider is a trade back from number 10 overall. And the reason for this is because if the player that you want is not there, this draft has a lot of talent in areas of need, like the running back position, the defensive tackle position, maybe the edge rusher position. The Chicago Bears could really take advantage of a team that's looking to trade up for a big time player and also cash in on some extra draft picks, not only for this year's NFL draft, but the 2026 NFL draft as well. So on today's episode of Keek on the Mic, I want to talk about a big time scenario that Ryan Poles and the Bears could consider in the 2025 NFL draft that would allow them to cash in on multiple high level draft picks, not only for this year, but for next year as well. And then they would still be able to cash in on a day one impact player for their organization. So the trade scenario that I really think Ryan Poles and the Bears should consider is a trade back with the Denver Broncos. Currently, the Broncos are sitting at the number 20th overall pick in the 2025 NFL draft. And the reason why I look at a team like the Denver Broncos, they really have everything going for them. They have Bo Nix. They re-signed Cortland Sutton. They brought in Evan Ingram. They have Sean Payton as the head coach. They have a very good young defense over there in Denver. So I could see the Denver Broncos trying to be aggressive in a trade up, especially if a high impact player is there. I know they are still trying to build around Bo Nix, and I think they're looking for another pass catcher to add with Nix over there with the Denver Broncos. So if a player is there like tight end Tyler Warren out of Penn State, and I know they just got Evan Ingram, but I think they could be looking for a long-term tight end for like a Tyler Warren, maybe a Colston Loveland. And then if McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona, is there at number 10, I can see the Denver Broncos being aggressive in a trade up. And if this is the case, and once again, this is hypothetical, I'm not saying this is actually going to happen, but if this was the case, I think Ryan Poles and the Bears need to take advantage. So I could see a trade going somewhat like this, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but once again, this is just hypothetical. The Denver Broncos will receive pick number 10, and the Bears will receive pick 20, pick 51 in round 2, and a 2026 first round pick. And I know there's going to be a lot of people saying, well, Keek, I am not sure if the Denver Broncos are willing to give up a first round pick in next year's NFL draft. It just depends on how they view guys like Tyler Warren, how they view guys like McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona State, out of Arizona, my apologies. If they view those guys as blue chip players, and I've talked to my brother-in-law, which he is a huge Denver Broncos fan, and every single time I talk to him about Tyler Warren, he is absolutely in love. He also loves the idea of McMillan, and I think he understands that neither of those guys are going to drop to number 20. So the Bears could really leverage that, and if the Denver Broncos are truly interested, once again, Ryan Poles and the Bears could take advantage. So I think that's what's going to cost for a team like the Denver Broncos to move up from 20 all the way to the top 10. It's going to cost a pretty penny. If the Bears were able to execute a trade back like this, the Bears would then have 5 picks in the top 100 in this year's draft, with 3 of those picks being in round 2. So that they would then have pick number 39, 41, and 51, plus an extra first-round pick in the 2026 NFL draft. This would be big-time draft capital for Ryan Poles and the Bears to really leverage and adding extra talent to this Bears roster. Once again, we've already understand that Ryan Poles and the Bears have been extra active in free agency and bolstering the trenches. And with those extra second round picks and the extra first round pick next year, Ryan Poles would really be able to round out this roster and make the Chicago Bears a true contender, not only in the NFC North, but the entirety of the National Football League as well. So here we go. The Bears now have traded back, added some draft capital in this year's NFL draft and next year as well. The Bears could then turn around at pick number 20 if he is still available, and then select running back Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina with pick number 20 in the 2025 NFL draft. If Ryan Poles and the Bears were able to execute this trade back and still land a day one impact player at the running back position in running back Omarion Hampton, that would be big time for Ryan Poles. It would be a big time move for Caleb Williams. He would be the perfect fit for this Ben Johnson offense. There's a lot of draft analysts and insiders out there saying now Omarion Hampton may be the better running back prospect than a guy like Ashton Genty. So we were able to trade back, add some massive amount of draft capital, and still land a very, very good running back like Omarion Hampton. I would be a very happy Bears fan. Then with the 3 second-round picks, right, you can take the best available D tackle or edge rusher at pick 39. At pick 41, you can take the best available offensive lineman. And then at pick 51, I would consider, if I were Ryan Poles and the Bears, I'm looking at adding either a tight end or safety to the roster as well. But they would be able to do so many different things with yet another second round pick. So I know there's going to be so many different scenarios in regard to a trade back for the Bears. They can probably trade back a couple of spots and maybe land an extra third round pick. Maybe they stay put at number 10 and just take the best player available. But I feel like if they're going to trade back, just drop as far back as you can and get as much draft capital as you can, not only for this year's draft, but next year's draft as well. And if you're able to still land a game-changing player like Omarion Hampton, or let's say you still land a solid defensive tackle like Walter Nolan, for example, from Ole Miss, or Amon Membu, the offensive lineman from Missouri, I would be very pleased with that outcome in this year's NFL draft for the Chicago Bears. So overall, Bears fans, how do you feel about this trade back scenario with the Denver Broncos? That would land the Bears once again an extra second round pick this year and a extra first round pick in the 2026 NFL draft, and then still being able to draft a guy like Omarion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina. Let me know down below what you're thinking in the comment section. But as always, Bears fans, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Keek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, be back for all new Bears podcasts right here on Keek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic.